College Reunion Hall, XYZ University. Hey, where is Jimin again? Taehyung complained as he sipped Americano, scanning the university reunion hall decorated with navy blue drapes and white lilies. Namjoon chuckled softly, tapping his fingers rhythmically on the table. 5 years later, and some things never change. Park Jimin being late is as certain as the sun is rising. Jungkook smirked, adjusting the sleeves of his crispy grey suit. His hair was styled neatly, giving him a mature, confident aura. JIKOOK, it feels surreal, doesn't it? 5 years ago, we were struggling with internships, heartbreaks, and thesis submission. Now look at us. Taehyung's eyes twinkled with nostalgia. Yeah, it feels like a different lifetime. Expect, he teased, leaning towards Jungkook with a mischievous grin. You are the only one who actually got married. Where is your beautiful wife, Mr. June? Jungkook's dimple deepened as he smiled proudly. She will be here soon. She wanted to stop by her old department building to see her professors before coming. Namjoon smirked knowingly, always the polite daughter-in-law. Just then the glass doors opened, with a gentle swoosh as a woman entered. Her pale pink hanbok-inspired modern dress flowered elegantly as she walked toward her long wavy hair, cascading softly down her back. She smiled shyly when she saw them, her delicate eyes glimmering under the chandelier lamp. There she is, Jungkook said, standing up and waving warmly. She approached them, bowing politely. Annyeonghaseyo, it's been a while. I'm June Hana. What? Taehyung's eyes widened in shock, almost dropping his coffee cup. Hana? She laughed softly and sat beside Jungkook, holding his hand gently. How have you all been? It feels so good to see you again after so long. Namjoon smiled politely, though he noticed Taehyung's sudden discomfort. We have been good, Hana. See, life's busy but good. They continued chatting about work, promotions, Namjoon's upcoming leadership conference in Busan, and Taehyung's art exhibition in Jeju. The atmosphere was warm, filled with genuine laughter and nostalgia. But Taehyung couldn't hold back the question burning his mind. Leaning closer to Jungkook, he whispered with confusion, You didn't marry Wyan? Jungkook blinked, frowning deeply. What? What are you asking, Taehyung? I love my wife, Hana. Why would I marry Wyan? Taehyung swallowed hard, glancing at Namjoon, who looked equally puzzled. Namjoon leaned in, lowering his voice. Wait, didn't Wyan tell you? Before graduation, she told us she was going to propose you. She said, I love Jungkook, and today I will confess to him. Jungkook froze and his mind raced back 5 years, searching desperately for any memory of Wyan proposing to him, or even trying to. JK, I never met Wyan after graduation, he said quietly. His brows frowned. Now you are saying she never met you guys? How is that possible? Taehyung looked down, his voice shaking slightly. Namjoon, she told us she was deeply in love with you. She said if she didn't get married to you, she would rather die. Namjoon sighed heavily, his chest tightening with guilt. Poor Wyan, what happened to her after graduation? None of us saw her again. Jungkook clenched his fist under the table, guilt washing over him like a storm. I never saw Wyan like that. She was always my close friend, nothing more. I didn't know she felt that way about me. Silence fell over them like a heavy curtain. The halls chattered and music faded in their ears as each fell deep into their memories of her. Flashback, Seoul University, final year graduation. Wyan stood in front of the mirror inside the girls' washroom, her heart pounding against her ribcage. She adjusts her white blouse tucked into a navy skirt, her lips trembling as she practiced. Jungkook, I love you. Will you be my? Her cheeks flushed in the sun as her own reflection, her eyes sprinkled with hopeful tears as she clutched the tiny wrapped gift in her hand, a leather bracelet engraved with his name in cursive Korean. Outside, Namjoon and Taehyung were waiting with encouraging smiles. Namjoon ruffled her hair softly. Go princess, today is your day. Taehyung winked, giving her a playful push forward. Fighting our little Wyan, make sure to say it confidently, okay? She smiled nervously and nodded with trembling legs. She walked out towards the grand campus, founded under the blooming cherry blossom trees. Her heart fluttered with anticipation and fear. But as she turned the corner, her steps halted, her breath hissed painfully. There, under the pale pink rain of cherry blossom, Jungkook, wearing his graduation gown and holding a tiny velvet box in his hand, kneeling before a girl with long dark hair tied into a bow bun. Sheen Hana. JK, Hana, will you marry me? Jungkook's deep voice was laced with emotion. Vine's world blurred instantly, tears welled up, burning her eyes and staining her vision with painful reality. She watched her. Hana burst into tears, nodding as yes. Jungkook slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into a passionate kiss. Her chest contracted, her knees buckled as she collapsed into a cobblestone path, clutching her mouth to silence her sobs. A tiny gift fell from her trembling hands, rolling away into the grass unnoticed. Before anyone could see, she mustered her remaining strength. She stood up shakingly and ran away, her tears scattering like shattered pearls behind her. University back gate. Same day, Jimin was leaving the dance studio when he saw Vine sprinting down the steps, her face drenched in tears. Panic surged through him as he rushed forward. Jimin, Vine, wait, where are you going? She shook her head violently, refusing to meet her eyes. Vine, leave me alone, Jimin, please, just leave me alone. And she disappears into the streets before he could stop her, leaving him standing there helplessly, clenching her fist under his knuckles turned white. He saw the gift, what Vine bought for Jungkook, and Jimin picked it up and went from there. Back to present, reunion hall. The soft instrumental music playing in the hall felt its tense as Jungkook buried his face in his hands, whispering brokenly, JK, I never knew. I never saw her like that. To me, she was my precious friend. Nothing more. Namjoon sighed deeply, blinking back tears. Poor Vi. Wherever she is, I hope she found peace. I want to know about where she is now. Taehyung wiped his eyes, his chest aching. She was so bright, so full of life. How could fate be so cruel to her? Hyung, I hope she didn't done something wrong to herself. As we know her, she is very emotional. Namjoon, I hope so. She's fine. I am failed as a brother. Taehyung, we have saw her after that day. Ask her about what happened then, but I left the city quickly because of work. Tai, me also, Hyung. My dad called me hurriedly, so I also went back to the house. Just then, a cheerful voice interrupted as their sorrowful silence. Anaseong Hyung's. They turned around to see Park Jimin entering with a radiant smile, wearing a sleek black suit that accentuated his lean, graceful frame. His silver hair was parted neatly to the side. Jimin, sorry I am late again, he chuckled, rubbing his neck sheepishly. Traffic was hell. Taehyung immediately pulled him into a hug. Yeah, Jimina, you always make us worry. Jimin laughed slightly, hugging each of them before sitting down beside her. How's life, Jimina? Namjoon asked with a gentle smile. Your career, marriage, everything settled? Jimin's eyes sparkled mysteriously as he rested his chin on his palm. Yes, Hyung, everything is beautiful. Taehyung raised his brows curiously. Jimina, do you know where Vine is? We all are talking about her today. We know that Jungkook didn't marry Vine. Then what happened to her? Where she is now? Jimin paused for a moment, his gaze softening. A melancholic smile touched his lips. Vine, she is married now. They all frozen. Namjoon's eyes widened. Married? When? To whom? Jimin's smile remained gently yet heavy as he looked out the window, his mind slipping back into memories what were both painful and precious. Sometimes the heart's greatest tragedy turns into to be its greatest blessing. Because love is not about whom you love. Love is about who loves you and whom you choose to accept. Taehyung's throat tightened as he asked, Is she happy now? Jimin's eyes turned distant yet soft as he leaned back in his chair. Jimin, she is. He whispered, a small smile playing on his lips. More than I ever imagined she could be. Jungkook, who had remained quiet, looked up, guilt brimming in his eyes. Jimin, what happened to her after that day? Jimin closed his eyes, flooding his mind. Flashback, hospital room, few days after graduation. The room smelled like antiseptic and lilies. Machine waved steadily beside Jimin's bed as he lied unconscious, his left arm plastered and his forehead wrapped in gauze. Wine entered her steps hurriedly, and hair tied into a messy bun, face pale and eyes swollen from crying. As soon as she saw him lying there, tears streamed down her cheeks. Wine, Jimin, you idiot, she whispered, walking closer and clutching his cold hand. She shook him lightly, her tears falling into the hospital bedsheet. Wine, why are you so careless with your life, huh? Don't you care about your family, your friends, me? His eyes fluttered open, her voice, pain and relief washed over his face simultaneously as he whispered hoarsely, Jimin, Wine, you came? She sobbed harder, gripping his hand tightly. Of course I came. How could you do this to yourself? A sad chuckle escaped his lips as he winced in pain. Jimin, you are doing the same, Wine. 2 times you tried to end your life just because Jungkook is getting married to someone else. If you were careless, then I don't want to live this life without you either. Her sobs turned into hiccups as she shook her head violently. Why do you care so much about me, Jimin? I'm just your friend. His eyes clenching, one shed tears as he looked at her deeply. The words he had buried for years finally surfaced. Jimin, no, Wine, you are not just a friend. I have loved you madly and deeply since the first day of college. That day, you walked into class wearing that yellow cardigan, biting your lips nervously, asking me to share my notes. I fell for you then and there. Her eyes widened, her lips parted in shock as he continued weakly. Every time you smiled at Jungkook, it killed me inside, but still I want you to be happy, even if it wasn't with me, because your happiness was always more important than my own. Silence filled the room as Wine's tears fell silently onto his chest. She stood abruptly, wiping her tears roughly. Take care of yourself, Park Jimin, she whispered shakingly. Otherwise, I will kill you with my own hand. I don't want to lose my love for the second time. Without waiting for his response, she turned and left the room, leaving Jimin lying there with a weak but hopeful smile on his lips. 1 month later, Wine began visiting Jimin daily, bringing him fresh meals and reading his psychology textbooks aloud as he rested. 2 months later, she helped him walk, supporting his weight despite her petite frame, cheering him with every painful step. 3 months later, she found herself waiting for his texts, smiling at his goofy selfies with daily recovery updates and short poetic lines about her eyes and smile. 4 months later, Jimin gathered the courage to hold her hand as they sat under cherry blossoms in the park, her hand trembling in his, but she didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned her head softly on his shoulder, closing her eyes as tears fell silent on his sleeve. Their wedding scene. Jimin stood at the altar wearing an ivory suit with a blush pink tie. His hair was styled softly, silver fingers framing his glowing nervous face. Every guest is wishing them a happy life. As the doors opened, everyone turned. Wine entered wearing an off-shoulder-less gown with a delicate pearl veil flowing behind her. Her hair was tied into a loose bun, adorned with baby's breath, flowers, her glowing eyes fixed only on Jimin. She looked so peaceful, finally at home in someone's heart. When she reached the altar, Jimin pressed it as she escaped in his eyes. You are so beautiful, I can't believe you are mine, he whispered shakily. She smiled softly, tears brimming in her own eyes as she replied, I just didn't knew it. Their vows were simple yet powerful. Jimin promised to protect her happiness with his light, to wipe away every tear she shed, and to stand beside her no matter what storms. Wine promised to never let go of his hand, to remind him daily how deeply she cherished his love, and to build a home with him full of warmth and laughter. When the officiant finally said, "You make us the bride," Jimin pulled her close, kissing her deeply as tears fell from both their eyes. Their friends cheered, clapped, and wiped their tears away. back to the present. Reunion hall. Jimin finished narrating the story with his voice gently yet steady, his eyes glistening with memories of their journey. They were stunned, speechless, tears forming. Just then, a metallic voice approached. Jimina, I parked the car. Here is the key. She handed them. They turned to see her. Wine stood there in flowy beige dress, her eyes glowing with happiness. She smiled at them all. Jungkook's wife Hana immediately hugged her. Wine, it's been so long. Wine greeted everyone sweetly and turned to Jimin, her husband, who pulled her close with a gentle smile. The air around them was heavy with tears and silent smiles. Jimin held Wine's hand protectively as she bowed to everyone. Taehyung, it's been so long, Wine said softly, his eyes twinkling with holding shadows of her painful past. Taehyung stood up, unable to hold back his emotion. Wine, you married Jimin? I can't believe this. Wine smiled warmly, looking at Jimin with love. Yes, Taehyung Oppa, I did. Namjoon chuckled tearfully, wiping his eyes. Finally, Jimin, you rascal. You never told us your life turned into a movie. Jungkook's wife Hana held Wine's hand. I missed you so much. Why did you disappear after graduation? Wine looked down briefly before whispering, I just needed time to heal myself. I lost something that day, but gained something bigger than ever I imagined. Jungkook, who had been silent, stood up and walked to her. Wina, I'm so sorry. She looked up at him with soft but strong eyes. Don't be sorry, Jungkook. You gave me a reason to realize what love truly is. It's not your fault that my heart chose you when it was supposed to choose someone else. Everyone fell silent, tears in their eyes at her maturity and grace. Everyone understood the reunion hall, once filled with confusion and guilt, now filled with warm love and acceptance. Wine playfully nudged his arms, smiling at everyone. Why are you telling them everything, Jimina? Let some mysteries remain. He chuckled, pulling her closer and kissing her temples softly. They deserve to know how their little sister found her happiness. Namjoon stood up abruptly, clapping his hands together with teary eyes. That's it, reunion group photo now. This is the memory we will cherish for. They all gathered at the center of the hall with Jimin and Wine in the middle. Jungkook stood beside Hana, holding her hands, who was wiping her tears with a tissue. Taehyung wrapped his arms around both Jimin and Wine from behind, smiling brightly. They sarange. The camera clicked the freezing that bittersweet yet beautiful story into a timeless frame of love, healing and destiny. As they walked out into the golden summer set, Wine held Jimin's hand tighter and whispered, Wine, thank you for loving me, even when I couldn't love myself. Jimin smiled softly, his eyes reflect only to her. He pulls her into a soft kiss. Jimin, thank you for choosing me to love you and saying yes, to give me a chance to create a beautiful life with you. I promise we will be together for our last breath. So, moral of the story is, love is not about who you love is about who loves you and whom you choose to accept.